Still morning. Oh, you're recording?
Now we're recording.
Terrific. So we are from Starship Tempest, which is an actual play podcast. We play Star Trek Adventures. We can introduce ourselves real quick.
I'm Brian. I am the GM, and so I make the scenarios, and then I make them play through it.
That's true.
And they wreck it.
Yeah, every time. Almost every time.
I'm Travis Outer. I play Nicholas Holden, the chief engineer on the ship, and yeah, we do everything.
And he
we
wrecks
can.
it.
Yeah, I constantly wreck the game.
Down there?
Oh, I'm Matt. I play in the game.
There's a lot of people here.
We went to 80s pro.
Yeah, I play Commander Smythe in the game, and it's very fun. And yeah.
I'm Ryan Sheely. I am Captain Maddox of the Starship Tempest, and I am also the lead sound designer. Travis left out the point that he does a lot of our editing, our pre-production editing, so that's a big help there. And then Tara, who is basically our mom.
I'm Tara Sheely. I am the ship's doctor and also several other characters with different voices because I dissociate. Yay! And I'm also a social media person. So if you have ever heard Starship Tempest or seen us online, it's probably something that I posted begging you to come and play with us. Could any of you that have heard Starship Tempest before raise your hand for me?
Excellent.
Nice. Love it.
Hey! All right. A couple.
Oh, and Ryan's sister way in the back.
Well,
Yeah.
Wonderful. There's a piece of paper. Can you hold up one of those black pieces of paper? Over by the water over there are these black pieces of paper. This is all of our panels for this weekend, including our QR code where you can find our show at starshiptempest.com. So before we get started, I want to tell you about the DragonCon charity for this year. It is called Cure Childhood Cancer. So if you have any cash on you by the end of the panel and you'd like to come up and put some in the bucket, I believe DragonCon is matching all of the donations this year, so it's going to be incredible. Anything you can give. Okay, so we are here for Star Trek Hot Takes. If you don't know what a hot take is, it is an unpopular opinion, but something that holds true to you, right? What we want to do for this panel is steer it towards things that we like and love, not things that we hate. So we're not all here to bash Trek. We're not here to say, I think this part is stupid or whatever. We're here to say, I love this thing that maybe other people don't love, okay? Who would like to start?
Well, just before we continue on, thank you guys for coming. This is a huge turnout. This is already a huge success. We are going to lead the conversation. Eventually, we want to hear your hot takes, too.
Yes.
But just to reiterate what Tara was saying, it's not anything that we're trying to do to get people mad. Live debate is wonderful, and spirited debate is fantastic. We're not going to get nasty or angry, but that's it. So, yeah. Who wants to go first? I think, Brian, you had one that you wanted to
Brian,
start
let's
off
go
with.
first. We're squeaking a little.
Yeah, we're still. Whoa.
Sorry. We're squeaking a lot.
Not getting a feedback loop. Are we good?
Yeah.
Oh, I see. So we'll do this more. Okay. All right.
But it needs to be quiet.
Obey Landrew. Am I going first then?
Yeah.
All right.
Kick us off.
Okay. Well, so my original the hot take I was going to bring to this was that I don't like the NX-01 design, but they shot that down. So the one I'm going to actually bring to the table is I like Strange New Worlds a lot. I think it's a really good TV show. I think it would be a great TV show if all of the legacy characters in it weren't legacy characters, right? So I actually love what they're doing between Spock and Chapel, but I think it would be cooler if it wasn't like characters who we kind of know where that relationship is headed. I loved in season 1 with Uhura and her like, I'm not sure Starfleet is for me, like, because I love that aspect of the kind of the standard default Star Trek character for most of the franchise has been like, Starfleet is my one and only, and it's my calling, right? That's like most characters in Star Trek. So I loved flipping that on its head and being like a character who's like, I'm not sure this is for me. And I think that would have had so much more power and impact as a storytelling thing if it wasn't a character who we knew, like, okay, we know how that's going to resolve because we know where she ends up, right? So a lot of that stuff. And most in particular, which I don't think is so much a hot take, because I do think a lot of people have this general opinion, but with the Gorn, I really like the Gorn episodes from the season, but I think it would work so much better if they were a new, original, not previously depicted species society. Because I think the whole point of the original episode Arena is like, oh, this is a really scary looking monster, rubber suit creature from the Black Lagoon style monster, right? But the point of the episode is, oh, we're more alike than maybe we realized at first, right? And so the way Strange New Worlds is depicting the Gorn now, I think it's still great, like storytelling, and it's a great springboard for some of the characters in the show, but it doesn't jibe with not just with the depiction of the Gorn in later in Arena, but it also kind of undermines the ultimate like thematic point of the original Arena episode. And that's my hot take.
Interesting.
Yep. Yeah, he won me over when we were talking about this in the room beforehand.
Yeah.
Like I love Strange New Worlds as a show. But yeah, there's a part of me that I also am big on. I would love to see original stuff that we've never seen before. And so the fact that it went back to something where we understand half the characters already was a thing where I was like, yeah, I still love this, but man, I just want something fresh and totally different.
It's something that occurred literally just sitting here before we started. Like, Andor is an amazing TV show, and oh, so this is going to be a Star Wars hot takes panel, apparently. No, I mean, I love Andor, and I think it's really helped by the fact that basically the only character that we have any inkling of where they end up is Andor himself. And so I think if Strange New Worlds had been something similar, where like the only character that we know kind of their fate or where they're headed is Pike, and then everybody else is a blank slate, like in Andor, I think.
Don't you think that you'd have less emotional investment then, though? If it wasn't Uhura, whose parents, spoilers, if it wasn't Uhura who had those life struggles to begin with, to get more see, this is why I disagree, because the part of the buy-in for Strange New Worlds is that these are the characters that we already know and love so hard. So I'm not sure that it would land on its feet so well as Strange New Worlds did, because of how much we are already emotionally invested in these characters.
See, sorry, no, go ahead.
It could go either way, right? Because it's like when you watch a prequel to a beloved movie, you're like, well, you lose the stakes, right? Because you're like, nope, I know that all these people live, so I don't need to see what happened before necessarily, other than like a cool story. The stakes are gone, so you're like, well, he's definitely doing fine by the time we see him next or her next. So like, yes, they're these beloved characters that we're already invested in, but also we know nothing's going to happen badly, or we know exactly what bad things will happen unless they stray, in which case we'll be more upset. So it's like
well, so there's when they first started making Next Generation in the late 80s, the producers at the time actually kind of set a restriction for themselves to not the crew wasn't going to be the kids of the crew from the old show, and it's not exactly the same because that was a sequel and Strange New Worlds is a prequel, but I think there was like a self-imposed restriction that ultimately helped the show in the sense of we're not going to rely on that hook of like, oh, it's Kirk's kid and it's Scotty's kid, right? So I do think that like that's a harder storytelling thing to pull off. Like having the hook of, oh, these characters that you're already invested in is a good hook. Yeah. But just in the end, it gives you more freedom, I think, down the road, and doesn't sort of like lock you in. Like they, again, spoilers for Strange New Worlds, they just introduced Scotty at the end of second season, right? And it's like, and I actually like really love that guy's particular performance of Scotty and his characterization of it. Yeah. But again, it's like, and I love seeing Scotty again. Like as a fan, just like to see Scotty is awesome, you know? Yeah. But that ultimately leaves you less room for where that character can go and what they can become.
Yeah. All right, we'd like to throw it out to the audience.
First, I want to ask. I had an
idea.
Oh, sorry. So we will do the answers first. Sure. Who I'm gonna do this now because I just thought of this.
Do it.
Who agrees that Strange New Worlds would be better if they weren't legacy characters? Who do you win over?
That is a larger proportion than I
Yeah.
would have guessed.
Me too.
My people, we attack at dawn.
Alright.
All right, raise your hand. We've got Spider Gwen over here.
So I think one of the catches with bringing back a bunch of legacy characters and then adding some additional characters is that when you looked at the original Star Trek, it was not a very diverse crew.
Right.
Yeah.
Right? Uhura was really the only person
Was
of
it.
color.
Yeah.
Right.
And so, in order to Sulu, sorry.
Oh, right.
Sorry, everyone, sorry.
Yes.
But generally, there was a lot of white men
Yeah.
in the primary character roles.
Yeah.
And so then, in order to kill off characters, you
Yeah,
have
that's a
to
good point.
kill off the diverse characters that you've added.
Yep.
Right.
And so I'm sitting there like, if anyone's going to die here, it's these women.
Yeah.
It's these
Yeah.
people of color. And I'm
Right.
like,
That's a good point.
I
Yeah,
don't
rough.
feel really good about that.
No, same,
You're
same.
clapping in the back there, yeah.
That's
Yeah.
that's like that's actually a really good point in the sense like just in general I think prequels are hard specifically for Star Trek because like as has been said a million times, right? Like 1966 was incredible step forward in terms of diversity for its time and more, now 50 years have gone by and it's, we've gone further, right?
Yeah.
And so there's a line in The Cage, the original Star Trek pilot, where Pike is like, I just can't get used to women on the bridge. And like,
Yeah.
At the time, the fact that a woman was on the bridge at all
Was a big
was,
deal.
hey, yeah.
Yeah.
Now it's, and so just like that's an extra wrinkle of difficulty that I don't think is necessarily part of a result of kind of the same topic that I'm talking about, but it is an extra wrinkle that I think is really difficult.
That's interesting.
Oh, we got another. Oh, we got several. Go ahead, Tara.
Back here.
And the red command or no?
Yes, red and command.
Hi. Yeah, actually, I think it's not so much a problem for Strange New Worlds, because Strange New Worlds seems much more focused on character development.
Yeah.
So we're actually
That's
getting
fair,
to know Uhura. Like,
Yeah.
she was really a side character in the TOS. She
Right.
had minor character development here or there,
Yeah.
but you really get to know her in this series.
Yeah.
I mean, Pike was never really a well-developed character. You get to know him better. I like that they're exploring Spock and like his early, like, am I going to be a Vulcan? Am I going to be human? What am I, like, what do I want to be? I like that development as a character.
Yeah.
I think it doesn't have, you don't have to have life or death stakes in Star Trek for it to be interesting.
Right.
Yeah.
So I don't think you need to worry about, Uhura's not going to die. Well, you can still add pathos to the character. You
Yeah,
can
oh
add
yeah.
all these stories and work backwards from interesting things you know about the characters in the future and how did they get there.
Right.
I think that's fine. Like, I'm not a huge fan of prequel anything.
Right.
So, like, I'm
Yeah.
not saying that if I were to make a show, like Strange New Worlds, the show would be the show I would make.
Right.
But if you're going to do that, I think, not worrying about, whether or not the characters are going to die, it's less important to me than, like, exploring the characters in ways that make sense instead of, like, and then not trying to retcon anything, just let's go back and, like, explore how these characters got there in an interesting way.
Yeah.
I agree mostly with that. But there are moments like the fight scene on the derelict ship in the season finale where it's Spock and Chapel against it's like when it's just a pure fight scene and both characters have many more decades to live. You're like, all right, well let's just get through it.
And not just like the stakes of will they live or die, but also speaking of Spock and Chapel, the stakes of a relationship. Like you're like, well, we know that they don't work, or like we know he's gonna end up married to T'Pring, or we know whatever we already know. So not just whether they live or die, but just like, yeah, okay, we'll watch them go through this thing, but it's not gonna stick because I know what happens. So like,
We should jump to the next one.
Yeah.
What's that?
I just think we should jump to the next one.
Oh, go to
Yeah,
the next
try
one.
and
Okay, sure.
There's so much to do.
I really,
will posit one thing. The Ortegas question is, do you feel Strange New Worlds is neglecting the original characters it has created in favor of its legacy characters?
Yes.
I would say so. Yeah.
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 Interesting.
I I want to really.
She flies
She
the
flies the
ship.
ship.
Yeah.
That's all we know
Yeah.
about
Love
Ortegas.
Ortegas.
She flies the ship.
She flies the ship.
Which, I mean, I will say that really liking La'an as a character and what Chrissy DeJong is, how she portrays the character. But even then, it's like, she's still connected to the legacy because of her relationship to Khan and, like, the franchise is connecting her that way. Ryan and I were actually talking about this and saying, like, I would actually love it if her character was descended from somebody from the Eugenics Wars that wasn't Khan.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
Khan's rival. Like,
Somebody else.
you know, if Khan was, Sherlock Holmes, who was Khan's Moriarty? I guess Khan would be Moriarty, but you know what I mean. You know what I mean.
Right, in the front there.
You got the mic there.
Well, they focus more on this obviously in season 1, but as far as knowing where the legacy characters end up, Pike is the only one that actually knows where he's going
Right.
to end up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think
love
that's
Pike.
kind of an interesting take also.
Yeah.
I think
That's an
that's
interesting
that
monkey
is-
wrench in it.
Yeah, the fact that he knows his destiny and has to live with that makes for some extraordinary character studies. I love that. I think that's a great aspect. All right, we're going to move on to the next
I want to
topic.
do
Okay.
Terrace. I want to do Terrace because I love
Yeah.
Terrace.
All right. Hang on one second. My hot take is probably pretty polarizing. I don't know that anyone in the room will agree with me, and if you do, I owe you a hug after this. My favorite of all of the Star Trek movies, all of them, is Generations.
How many generations?
All right, let's see your hands. Let's see your hands.
Anybody?
Not just but
Hey, Ted Lasso.
no, but
yes.
but hang on. Not just likes Generations. Who thinks
No.
Generations is the best,
The best.
Star Trek
It
movie?
is the best. It's the best.
You got
I
one.
got one hug. coming.
Good. Ted Lasso, I will hug you.
Now, make your case.
I know. So my case is that I didn't grow up with Star Trek. I didn't find my Star Trek until I was in my 20s. And then I wanted to know as much about all of them as I possibly could. And when Ryan told me that there was a movie where the original series crew and the Next Generation crew came together, and there were like important scenes with Kirk and Picard, I was like, sold. Yes, I love this movie. I've watched it so many times, and one of the things that hit me hardest that I still carry around is the idea of the Nexus. And if you were presented with your perfect thing, would you stay? Would you have any reason to walk away from the Nexus knowing that things would be harder? And it says so much about them that they're like, other things are more important than how joyful I am here. And like, that's huge. Like,
Very
that's-
Star Trek.
I don't know if anybody would make that same choice, but those two people do. And like, it's everything. So like, that's my favorite movie.
And I
Whatever.
think to your point, because I'm a huge Generations fan as well. I do not think the odd even theory works at all for me. I love Star Trek 3. I love Star Trek 7. But what is
Skip over 5.
what is interesting about your point there is that it actually makes Soren's villain more relatable, more believable. I think if most people, like to Tara's point, were put in Soren's position and were ripped away from this place of pure happiness and joy, they would
Do
I
anything.
could see myself turning into a guy who doesn't care about anybody else or anything other than to get back to that.
I want to
that-
go
that
back
joy.
there. Right.
So yeah, who loves Star Trek Generations?
You don't have to think it's the best. You could just love it.
Yeah.
Love it. Yeah.
Okay. Good.
All right. Who thinks it's one of the worst movies of the Star Trek franchise?
Oh.
Oh.
I want to hear from you. I want to hear that.
Yeah.
So can we, if you guys are willing to talk, are you willing to voice your opinion?
Up here.
Only if you're willing.
Only if you're willing. What
It's,
is it?
it's gonna be the Kirk ending. It's gonna be.
Yeah.
If there was a movie there that was about the old characters and the new characters meeting, that would be cool. But that's not what that movie was.
Man,
Picard met somebody who looked like Kirk, but that was not Kirk at all.
interesting.
If he was in his perfect spot in the Nexus, Kirk would not be in that house with a woman that we had never heard of. I don't even remember what that woman was.
Antonia.
Yeah.
Oh.
He would be on the bridge of the Enterprise with his family,
I mean,
doing what he loved,
maybe.
or with Carol Marcus, or with
Yeah.
a million other things.
Ruth.
I mean,
I've always thought Antonia should have been.
also,
Carol,
like,
that's for sure.
maybe that was just one of his Nexus days. Maybe he had lots of ladies and lots of places. We don't know.
It didn't ring true in any sense at all, really. And
That actually would be kind of awesome if in Strange New Worlds they start planting that seed as to why that was where he ended up.
Wow.
Because they have Kirk in there, and like it'd be cool if that would be something
If
they
Kirk
start.
met and Antonia.
Yeah.
Did anybody see the? I'm sure everybody
We
did.
have
'Cause you're
that
all
here,
nerds.
too.
Okay, yeah.
If you're
Actually, do you want
interested.
to? Would you like to speak on, to your point about generations?
Go
Yeah,
ahead.
please.
Criticizing. You see, I'm now going to manage to get more hate criticizing generations.
You don't have to
We
if
flipped
you
it
don't
on
want
its head,
to.
see?
It's totally okay.
So, I like Kirk fine, but I think that the original series is a very different show than Next Generation.
Yeah.
And I think that Captain Picard is much more mature than Kirk.
Sure.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
it's a separate question of which one's a better character. And I think that it's fun to have Kirk as a space cowboy. I don't know. It feels like Generations fetishizes Kirk too much, and it's like
Interesting.
the crew. We can't do it. We can't defeat them. We need to bring in Kirk.
Yeah.
He's the only one who can get it done.
They all- they all-
Especially since by that point, Picard has hung out with Spock, Spock's dad, and Scotty. You know.
And presumably McCoy too.
Yeah, I mean, at the very
McCoy
least, he
visits.
probably said hi to McCoy,
Yeah,
right?
right.
So, like, but, like, he legitimately had adventures with Spock and Scotty, and then mind melded with Spock's dad.
Right.
So, yeah.
It just feels like the show is coming up with excuses to worship Kirk, and that's the only purpose of this movie.
Yeah, that was
Interesting.
basically Captain
Fair.
Harriman's sole purpose in the movie was to show that this
Kirk is the best.
Kirk is a legend. Yeah.
I as a captain of the Enterprise B can't handle a basic red alert scenario. So yeah. But did anybody see the short film that was put out about the visitation that Spock visiting Kirk's grave on Viridian 3 that was posted? That is a beautiful piece of really
yeah.
quick storytelling that tells more about that character's relationship. If you haven't seen it, does anybody know what it's called? It has a name. I forget what it is.
I don't, but it's like from start, like, it's officially produced. It's not a fan
Correct.
film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. All right. Well, anyway. Let's
So
move
it's
on
like
to-
if you look on the Star Trek Twitter account, you'll probably be able to find it.
We have a hand up here in the front. We just met you
You
at
wanna
the
check
Critical
your text?
Bagels.
Thank you.
Welcome back.
I hope I'm not about to go off tangent. But it's related to what you're saying.
That's all right.
Yeah, especially in the vein of keeping things positive. I guess my hot take is that I like the fifth movie.
Ah,
And I actually realize I like all the original series movies.
sure.
And having recently rewatched the fifth movie, I realized I just like hanging out with the original series.
Yeah.
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 I get that.
That's the one with the
It's
camping
family,
scene
yep.
in front, right?
Yep.
That part's really fun. Marshmallows.
And also, I'm going to revisit Generations. I haven't watched it in a long time, so I'll give it another shot.
Listen.
I liked it okay, but it's not one of my favorites.
The TNG ship scene with Worf and his is a commendation.
Oh yeah, yeah. When he's
Yeah.
promoted in the
Promote
beginning.
it, yeah, like that. I love that whole part.
Yeah.
Anyway, raise your hand if you are a fan of Star Trek 5.
All right.
That's,
All right.
that's right. Own it. If you do, that's fine.
To your point, it's Phil, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. To your point, Phil, I think Star Trek V has some of the strongest inter-character moments of the original series movies. And I'm not saying it's a good movie. I'm not saying that it has great storytelling devices. But the camping scene with Spock, Kirk, and McCoy, the passionate scene that you get of Dr. McCoy when he's visiting his father in that memory, it's such passionate storytelling.
Yeah.
And it gave DeForest Kelley more to work with than the crotchety old man that we usually see him as. And he's my second favorite character of all time, so I love that they gave him a little bit of breathing room in that movie. So there's a lot of really great moments in Star Trek V. It's just not the best movie.
I couldn't have said it better. I agree with you completely. I think the character moments are really great. Maybe it's not on its own a great movie.
Right.
Sure.
I just love it.
Yeah.
I loved all those scenes. There's a lot of funny moments. I find it funny.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Original series kind of
There's a
stuff.
lot of great humor in Star Trek V. Yeah,
Yeah.
there is.
But overall,
I'll even say,
Rough.
I'm not talking about like too much, just to say, I also like the first movie a lot.
Yeah.
Oh, I like naps too.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Let's jump to the next one, maybe?
Yeah.
Let's jump
Matt?
to the next.
Do we
Oh,
want
Matt.
No, I was just saying, do we want to go out to someone else in the audience for their own hot take?
No, let's hear yours, Matt.
Yeah.
Huh?
That's yours.
That's yours real quick.
Yeah. This will be good.
Shaking his head.
People are gonna hate me. Mine is that the opening credits and the song "Faith of the Heart."
Wait, hang on. Let me pause the recording here real quick.
No, don't.
Is awesome.
Leaving.
All right.
Oh, okay,
That's
good,
enough of
okay.
that.
Any of you that raised your hand on mine before, you're out of the army.
Who genuinely loves the opening of?
It's so fun.
Turned out to not be nearly as hot as we would have expected.
Yeah. I mean,
That's awesome.
everybody groans about it and stuff, so you'd think it's like, oh no, they won't.
I don't groan. I just press skip intro.
Yeah, do we want to go to one of you guys that has a good
Yeah.
hot take?
How about here in yellow? And we'll do. Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
so-
yeah. Good call. Good call.
We always
Henry
miss the
Jones,
back.
Henry Jones Sr.
Actually, right there, that person had their hand up first.
Oh.
I can't see that far.
Okay, there we go.
Hey, whomever.
Let us have it.
Let's hear it.
Okay, so I just wanted to say real quick, I've only seen 10 episodes of the original series, but I've also seen the first 5 movies of the original series.
Okay.
And this is more of like what I take away from Star Trek. I did not like the Voyage Home or
Ooh.
Generation.
The Mafia Planet one, I did not. Okay, so yeah, actually, yeah.
Yeah.
Here's why. It's not because they're bad. I was going to say that, but I have something a little more intellectual to say.
Okay.
So, the franchise is called Star Trek, right? And
Yep.
so,
The
when you
not
go
Star
back in
Trekking.
time, or you go to a planet that's just our world, but in the past or something, like the reason I watch Star Trek is I like the charismatic exploration of the unknown.
Sure.
Yeah.
You go to all these crazy ass planets with all these weird species and stuff, and like it's so fun to see all the characters just calmly, fumble their way through everything.
Yeah.
And always succeed. That's cool. But when you go back in times like the 80s or like Mafia Town, solving like real world human problems. I mean, I'm not saying you can't branch off from your normal premise. Like it's not losing the plot or anything. It's not like it's a bad episode or movie.
Right.
But
Well, in like the Mob Planet episode and the Nazi one and the ancient Rome one, it's like,
American one.
yeah, it's like it basically whenever they decide, well, we need to save a couple of bucks this week, so we'll just raid the costume department on the Paramount backlot. And they're like, all right, all right, well, we already did the ancient Rome ones, we already did the Nazis, so this week I guess we'll pull the gangster outfits, right? Like, yeah.
I'm gonna say I kind of agree with it. I still love those movies and stuff, but in the concept of Star Trek, when you were talking, I was trying to think of the other episodes that sort of fit that mold, and I've watched TNG more than any of the other ones. And the ones that I love that also do the sort of thing, like the Data, Elementary Dear Data episodes and stuff, I love those specifically because it ties back, but then they also like usually integrate it with the actual space exploration aspect, which is something that some of those older ones didn't do, simply for budget purposes. But
Moriarty and the cube thing.
yeah.
Henry Jones Sr. oh, back there. Sorry, you are not
I'm sorry.
Henry Jones. Back
We
there.
didn't see it. Apologies.
This is a hot take in my group. I don't know if it will be in this crowd.
Okay.
Love it already.
We constantly debate about who's the best doctor in Star Trek.
Ooh.
And I always come back to it's McCoy because he had the least to work with and the dumbest breakthrough. Like 5 minutes and no one said thank you because it was just expected he could do it.
Yeah.
That's a
I
fair.
will take
Like if
that.
you find someone's brain and put it back into their head.
I like
Yeah,
that.
that's fantastic.
What's this
That's a good
weird
one.
flower? Let me smell it.
Can you fix that?
Yeah.
There's this yellow toad. Let me lick it.
Yeah.
I like it. If you really wanted to make it hot, you would have said Pulaski's the best one.
Oh, God.
That
I
would have
would've
gotten a
left.
lot of
I
groans.
just want to get on my McCoy pedestal really quickly and say that the one thing I love about DeForest Kelly's performance of all of the Doctors and mainly all of the characters and basically all of Trek, he had the firmest grip of his character on day one than almost any other actor. if you look at and I'm not saying that there wasn't that those characters that grow as a result of their decisions and things, that's fantastic. But you know that Picard on day one of Next Gen is not the same Picard as, and that we see in All Good Things. He's bumbling, it's like the clothes don't fit just yet. McCoy's clothes fit immediately because of DeForest Kelly, and I've always loved that about him.
Henry. No, I said Henry.
Hello. Besides the obvious that Sean Connery should have been in Star Trek 5.
Yeah. Sean Connery.
Yes.
I will say Dr. Colbert is the best.
Okay.
I love Dr. Colbert.
Because he actually has he's like the first Doctor in Star Trek to actually have bedside manner.
And care
Yeah.
about mental health.
Care about the crew.
Yeah.
My hot take is that the retconning of the eugenics wars is great.
Oh. Okay.
Like specifically from Enterprise?
From
The Strange New Worlds.
Okay, all right.
Because I think it also goes back and helps when Voyager shows up in LA
Yeah.
in the mid-90s and everything's cool.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And they don't utter the words eugenics
Never
wars.
says it,
Yeah.
it's not even mentioned. And so I like the fact that they're kind of pushing it along.
That's
So it's not like, oh, this thing happened in the 90s and we're not going to talk about it.
Yeah.
Fantastic. I like that. I like that a lot.
Let's do yours and then this amazing mustache after.
Okay. So, in order to set this stage for this question, I'm going to ask for audience participation here. Who loves the Enterprise A in terms of starship design? Okay. Who loves?
No bloody
no
A.
bloody
A,
A, C, or D.
Yeah. Who loves the original
the original
1960s Enterprise? Yes.
Uh-huh,
Okay.
yeah.
Who loves the Enterprise D? So it's actually it's a pretty good.
See, it's not just me, Brian.
What?
My hot take is that from the moment I saw it, I was 6 years old when Next Generation came out, and when I saw the Enterprise D, I thought to myself, that is the worst looking spaceship. It is top heavy. It's not a flattering angle. The one that they use in every single shot, every opening. I mean, it is just an ugly ship, and I stand by that to this very day. It is.
Wait.
There's something nice.
You're right. Let me get there.
Okay.
So I will say
Give us
again,
time.
spoilers, season 4 or season 3 of Picard. Okay.
La, la, la,
So we got when you at the end, even I was moved to tears. Okay, that's as much as I'll say, despite the fact that it's my least favorite.
Yep.
Did you want to say something about that?
No, I was going to give you crap about like, oh, I can't talk about how the NX-01 is bad, but you were like, oh, the Enterprise D is. Please. Yeah, jump in and do Travis's because I think Travis is like people are gonna. Yeah.
Well, first I want to dovetail on that. The D in specific, the outside. I really love the fact that the inside of the Enterprise D looks like a cruise ship.
Yeah.
That was one when we were talking to dovetail on that. It's like I love the idea that it's this big exploration vessel. It's not going to be a warship or a submarine.
Yeah.
And that's the only one that they do that with. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, my actual hot take that they told me to bring it up was.
I said after Ryan.
Oh,
this
right.
Wonderful mustache,
Oh,
and then it's you.
Which one?
Right there.
There we go.
It's a great stash, though, right?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Gateway did nothing wrong in 2 weeks.
Oh!
And the only reason I say this on a strictly practical matter, you have a ship that's stranded 70,000 light years from Federation or Allied territory.
Yeah.
You have limited resources. Your tactical officer, and despite when he was a character, Alex did serve a vital purpose in getting the crew's food and morale.
Yeah.
2 vital functions on a ship that's stripped for resources and no backup. You can't lose those two officers.
Right.
I mean, it's tragic what happened, but from a purely utilitarian, based on the situation she was in, she made the right decision.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's a good.
All right.
How many agree with that?
Oh God.
Yeah,
Oh God.
look at that.
Oh wow.
That's impressive.
All right. Now we're gonna move on because that is a whole other panel unto itself.
Well, we'll pitch that for next year. An hour conversation.
So my hot take when I was trying to come up with one, I had a couple and narrowed it down to this one, is that of all the modern Trek, which kind of we're splitting Enterprise, then the long drought of no Star Trek.
Yeah.
Right?
So Discovery on.
Yeah, Discovery on. The best modern Star Trek that's come out is Star Trek Prodigy. That is the best Star Trek show.
Anybody agree?
And I was gonna say best Star Trek show currently running, and then a month ago happened, and so now I'm extra bummed about it.
Yeah.
I saw, how many people agree with me there? I saw
Got
a
a couple.
couple.
Star Trek
No.
Prodigy
Wow.
is the best new Trek.
Interesting.
Make your
Wow.
case.
Yeah,
How many
make
people
your
have
case.
watched all of Star Trek Prodigy that's been out?
You see? Okay, good.
Okay.
Yeah, that's different.
If
too.
you watch it, we had this discussion when it first came out. Ryan saw the previews for it and started the first episode and was like, this feels just like Star Wars now as opposed to Star Trek.
Right.
Which it does. Yeah, very Clone Wars. The first two-parter episode gets there, but after they get on the ship and it's just the kids on the ship trying to figure it out, wanting to get back to Starfleet, it is some of the best, just straight Star Trek-y Star Trek.
Yeah.
And speaking to that guy's point, it is very ship exploration stuff. They don't,
Yeah.
and it's them learning how to be members of Starfleet, and that whole process itself, it just has some of the best Star Trek-y Star Trek stuff you can imagine. And all of the other shows are great, and I enjoy them, but I feel like Prodigy is the one that feels very much like Trek to me in that way.
That's interesting.
So if you haven't watched it, go, not now, because it's not available
Yeah.
anywhere.
Ooh.
Actually,
Someday when it's
I heard
available,
from
watch it.
in the blue right there.
So my first Trek was TNG, and I was a new mom at the time, and it really bothered me that they had all their families on there, and they were flipping the ship upside down and their seatbelts. And then I know it was plot devices, but every season something horrible happened to someone's child.
Yeah.
I'm like, at what point did Starfleet decide to stick everybody's family on the ship? And thankfully, I think they reversed that decision.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
I
a
think
really
the board
good
did
point.
something to do with that. Yeah.
Oh, in the yellow back there. Oh, I'm
Oh.
sorry, Matt's pointing.
Okay, I'm gonna add context to this first, because it's gonna be a hot take, and I don't want any vegetables flying in my direction. Right, I'm aware of the galactic sea as the excuse why everyone in most of Star Trek looks like a human in body paint.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, and that has been, I think, a limiting factor in, like you were talking about the Goran looking like an actual alien species. I actually think is really cool that they look different. And what I was going to say, I actually like what they did. I'm sorry, I've got some brain damage.
okay.
That's okay.
Klingons, yes. Sorry.
Oh, yeah.
I actually, apart from there were some prosthetic difficulties inhibiting the actors.
Yeah.
But I like the fact that they made the Klingons look like an actual different species
Oh, in
and going ahead
Discovery?
and making the change.
Ah.
It might not have worked out great, but I think it was like the best attempt.
Interesting.
Yeah, to make them look alien.
That is a
Their
hot take.
culture's so different, their species is so different, but they just look like humans who,
Yep.
had a car accident.
I agree.
Okay, yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. Up here?
Right up front here.
We'll get to the back next. We got up here. Oh, she went that way.
We'll come back.
Juliet, could I have that bag? I'm gonna
Okay,
drop
so
right.
this one's going to bug a lot of people, but
Uh-oh.
I don't like Data's character arc ever.
Oh.
Ooh.
So
In TNG as well, you mean? Or
at all, like TNG especially, because the
Wow.
whole point is like, oh, I want to be human and stuff, but everyone's least favorite Dr. Pulaski proves that he is by him saying, oh, that's not my name. He was insulted. He didn't like that. That proves that he has emotions. His curiosity and desire to be human is proven. He
Look, he's
doesn't
gotta
need to
do.
go through multiple seasons in movies trying to do and prove what he already has been the whole time.
That's interesting.
there is something I've been thinking about this a little bit in the sense that not intentionally at the time, but it really turns out Data is an autistic neurodivergent character, right? And that's really what is being portrayed. But in some ways, Data is very much exhibiting that character. But there are other aspects that are really kind of central to Data's character that are not that. I don't know even know if I can to have any more specific. But there's something in his characterization that is like kind of halfway an expression of a neurodivergent autistic, somebody on the spectrum character, and then not. And I feel like you could almost, if you could go back and do it now with kind of that intention in mind and like start over, you would do it differently and maybe end up with something more interesting.
Yes, I feel like a lot of Data's character comes from, obviously, like, he's saying he's human because that also deals with he's being told externally that he is not human.
Yeah.
And that also speaks somewhat to the
Neurodivergency.
Experience.
Yeah.
Where even though he experiences emotions, he is told that he cannot.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
We're gonna do this one more, and then I want to give prizes away. So pull out those
We're gonna
tickets.
do the one up front, I think.
Yeah, that's what I said. This one more. Yep.
The white and black hair. Yeah.
We did hear from them before, but they had a hot take, so that's all right. They've been patiently having their hand up.
All right, so this is the hill that I will die on.
Okay.
That's the way we end this one.
I think that Voyager is the best Star Trek series.
Ooh. How many agree? Let's see hands.
Let's see hands.
Hands for that. Hands
That's
for
solid.
being the best.
Is Garrett still in the room with us?
Yeah.
So basically comes down to I feel like Picard and Kirk and a lot of the other characters in the other classic series are like almost hard to relate to because of the extent to which they are in an ideal position.
Yeah, they're perfect.
Like they have years and years of training, and so does everybody else on their ship that has a crew of hundreds of people with all of this training, and they have the full backing of Starfleet, and they have basically unlimited resources, and they're basically going out and exploring space because there's nothing important that they need to be doing, so that they can go and gauge curiosity.
Right. There's a pressing.
Whereas Voyager, they're so much more challenged, and they're first of all, their core mission is important and really like deeply meaningful to the characters and the most important thing in their lives. And also, there's so many, you know, they're separated from Starfleet, and also it's a mixed crew. It's Starfleet, it's Maquis, it's a handful of stray dogs that they've picked up, like
Motley Crue.
Seven and Neelix and Cass.
Yeah.
It means that the show kind of drops some of the sort of military discipline that Starfleet always gives these characters, and they become more human and more challenged and more relatable, and they have to make hard decisions on their own without the support of Starfleet.
Yeah, it's valid.
Yeah.
Totally valid.
All right.
All right.
One more because she had her hand up a long time and you haven't heard from her yet. So one last one.
Last one.
Okay, so my whole take is I really hate the episodes and plot lines where they have like I don't believe in no-win scenarios, and then there is this ship and the lives of all crewmen, and sometimes they even lose multiple people just to save a single main character or do something that has like 1% chance of working, and it works. Like, in real life, they would never do that. Let's go save Private Ryan, and then like, let's have dozens of people dying. I really hate when that
That is a Star Trek
totally
trope,
fair.
to be sure.
All right, my friends. So over the past few months, I have been reaching out to vendors and artists here at DragonCon and asking them if they would be willing to donate prizes. And they have been so magnanimous in doing so. So what I have here as prizes are some art and other it's all Star Trek stuff from these artisans that are here. So I'll give you your prize thing, and you get to go visit that artist in Artist Alley and pick up your prize that is waiting there for you. I'm very excited about it. If you end up following us online on Starship Tempest, we're on Instagram, and because we're an audio podcast, we don't really have visuals so much. So I reach out to Star Trek artists and ask if I can share their work with proper credit. I never share without asking. I think that's terrible. I always tag that artist and have their permission first. So a lot of these artists are people I've not only met but have shared on our Instagram before, and so we're forming these relationships between visual art and audio art. And like, not to toot my own horn, but toot y'all. So okay,
It's worth tooting.
it's worth tooting.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so the first prize is from. This will be in the vendor area. They are called All True to You. They're woodworkers, and they make awesome like dice towers and all kinds of stuff. They have made some wooden enterprise pins that they're giving. So this is for a wooden enterprise pin from All True to You, booth 2626. And the ticket is 651121.
Oh,
Hey!
Woo! Come on up and get it.
Hopefully he's not just leaving.
Right, yeah, don't leave.
No, he's coming.
Oh,
No, he is leaving.
No, not you. 121.
Oh, there, hooray!
So also, before our panel wraps up here, if you come up to the front to meet us and say hi, here you go. We have flyers for you for all our panels, and we have ribbons for your badges if you'd like a purple ribbon.
They are purple.
Yes, they're purple.
We also have this year's charity.
Yes, and we also have the bucket for this year's charity, like I said in the beginning. All right, this one is 20% off your purchase of Green Vine Glassworks. They do glass etching stuff, and they have a whole line of Star Trek things there. They are booth A38. I think that's also in the vendor area. So this is 651119. I'm sorry, 199. Sorry, 199. 651199. Yay!
Yay!
All right. Yeah, we can applaud. That's awesome. Here, you can.
Oh, yep.
Awesome. Our next one. So Paul Maitland is an
There you go.
amazing
Congratulations.
artist. Congrats. He did both some art prints of Strange New Worlds that he's giving away, and he had me pick 3 random characters, and he did sketch cards, and they're beautiful. So you get to go and pick up one of these custom sketch cards that he did with this one. So he's in Artist Alley, booth E5, 651224. 224. 651224.
Going once. Going twice.
Going twice.
Hold for no one.
Probably the guy that
That's
just
what they
left.
get to leave. Yep.
That's what you get. 651102.
102.
102.
Yay!
Hey, come and get it. Here you go.
Yep.
Awesome.
Yeah, congratulations.
Congrats.
Thank you very much.
Now this is one of those Strange New Worlds prints from Paul Maitland. Also booth E5. 651149.
149.
Yay!
There you go. Awesome. And the last one is also Strange New Worlds. It is from artist Tom Zoller. And he is at Artist Alley booth 309.
Thank you.
He sometimes comes dressed as Pike. Last year he was Pike with the whole apron and everything. It was like a sight to behold. All right, so it's for Tom Zoller. 651206. 206.
206.
Hey, all right, very good. Here you go, Brian.
Oh, yep, sorry.
Okay, so I wanted to make sure I did that before we ran out of time. We can. What's that?
There you go. Thanks.
Oh yes,
Yeah,
we'll count
okay.
at the end. Okay, so we have a few more minutes. Don't forget at the end, come get a flyer, come get a ribbon. In the meantime, we can take a couple other hot takes, and don't forget the
Don't forget to charity.
We can take a couple other hot takes. Oh, back there, right there. Yep.
Golds.
See the
Yep.
gold. Yep.
Raise your hand.
Right there.
And the
right
operations
there. Raise your
division.
hand again. Behind you. There you are.
I think we can all agree that basically everyone loves the monster in the room as a uniform.
Yes.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Until you warn them at a convention. You guys.
100%.
So while I think most everyone will fanboy out and just drool over monster in the room, my hot take is this is the best uniform.
Yeah.
This is the one.
That's did you make a purchase?
Buddy of mine made it.
Oh, that's fantastic.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Well done.
That's great. Good for you.
We have time for another. 10
minutes.
minutes.
Thank you.
Time
Oh.
for another.
See, somebody we
Over
haven't heard
here?
from yet.
We got one in the back, all the way there.
Oh, in the back?
Whoever.
I'm
I don't know.
sorry. Go in the back.
We'll leave it up to you.
Yeah. let's
Yeah.
do it,
You grab one.
Likes
You love
Pulaski.
Oh, right there. Okay.
So everyone has some, or a lot of people have
Yeah.
It's the balance of like, is he starting with from a more human perspective? Is he starting from a more Vulcan perspective? And so like, what's the baseline of that experience? But my hot take is that this is an entirely new Spock because he's reeling from the loss of his sister.
Yeah.
Is completely traumatized by also coming out of a war that doesn't exist that no one can talk about.
Right.
So it's not even about like trying to understand him understanding his human nature. It's not a question of nature anymore. It's a question of trauma.
Oh, that is interesting. I like that.
I have to
Wherever you
rewatch
wanna go.
all of Strange New Worlds for that.
Somebody we haven't heard from.
Yeah, we had one right there.
Spoilers for Picard season 3, but
La,
the ship
la,
at the
la.
end should have been the USS Picard.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yep,
yeah.
I agree.
I'll throw in another Picard related hot take in the sense that I really wanted to see more of the Enterprise F. Like we really needed to see more of the Odyssey class, the one that's like, oh, we're retiring it early. Which, by the way, was a friend of mine who I met through Yuri's Night. He's like the lead modeler for Star Trek Online. The model of the Enterprise F, the Odyssey class you see in Picard, was pulled from Star Trek Online, right? Thomas is the guy's name. Made a completely new 3D CG model that would stand up in an IMAX format, which it did. I saw it in IMAX, and it does stand up in 3 weeks.
Whoa.
That ship model you see in Picard at the end was made from scratch in 3 weeks.
Wow. That's incredible. All right.
I'm just
Maybe
going
one-
back to
oh.
the ugly Enterprise D.
Yeah. Thank you for circling back.
When it came out, I was a teenager when that came out, and I always thought the deflector dish looked like the grill of a Ford Taurus.
That's
It does.
amazing.
Anybody else got anything? Oh, up front. Hooray.
Spider-Gwen.
We're coming for you.
She's coming.
Okay.
She's coming.
I got another one if we got more.
Okay,
You can do
we
legacy.
have killed Lieutenant Commander Data
Yep.
for the last time.
Yep.
Twice now.
Yeah.
Yep.
He should be dead.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. That's fair.
He's one of my favorite characters, but like,
But
come on,
also-
man.
Yep.
Well, when you kill off a character and then bring them back and then do this over and over again, like you take away the beauty that is the pain of loss and like grieving and like having that time. And like there were is anybody here a Doctor Who fan as well? So okay, yeah. So Clara,
That was
right?
a gimme,
There
Sarah.
was a Clara episode called The Raven, and I cried so hard, and it was so good, and she was gone, and that was like sad, and then poof, she's back, and I was like, well, come on,
Yeah.
but I had feels about that, and the Data stuff has been the same way, like, oh my god, like that's heartbreaking, and never mind, and
Data is my all-time favorite character.
Yeah.
Sorry for there in the back who hates him. All-time favorite character, and for all of its terrible problems with Star Trek Nemesis, that last scene was so powerful. And when they're toasting to Data to absent friends with Chateau
Yeah.
Picard, and Riker is emotional, and Deanna's breaking down, and he says, first time I met Data, and he couldn't think of the name of the
tune.
song. I was in the theater going, "It's Pop Goes the Weasel." But yeah, and then to your point, now that emotional investment and experience that I had then is now, it didn't really mean as much in retrospect.
Right. I want to ask the group, how many people here want to see Star Trek Legacy, the follow-up of Picard, where it's Seven of Nine, Captain 7 of 9? How many people want to see that?
Oh. Do it, Travis. Do it.
Yeah, my original one was going to be that I really, really do not want them to make that show. Because I think we talked about how the prequels are tough because you have these legacy characters that you have to honor and stuff, and I can't see how there's any way they could make that show without it being about it being Picard's son and 7 of 9, and like somehow he's now first officer-ish,
sort of
advisor,
But also
thing.
her ex-girlfriend is the first officer.
Yeah, and it's like I don't know how they can make that show without being.
Or are they gonna try to do like would they try to do like a Sam and Diane situation with Seven and Raffi? But yeah, will they try to do the will they won't they? Except they're the captain, and first officer.
Yeah.
It's like.
So I love where it ended, and I'm like, I can have that headcanon in my brain of imagining all the adventures they go on together.
Yeah.
But if they actually try to produce that as a show, I'm like, oh, that's going to be so tough, and I don't trust how difficult that would be to write to make work.
Yeah.
So I just want to get that out there. So. More hot takes. Go. More people.
I don't think that any show past Deep Space Nine has handled Section 31 well, and I don't think Section 31 should ever be the protagonist. And I think that's kind of related to post 9/11 American politics.
If you'd like to see a Star Trek show in which Section 31 is an interesting antagonist, however.
Yeah, listen to Starship Tempest.
Yeah,
We've
Starship
got some
Tempest.
Section 31
Chief
stuff.
Engineer Holden used to be in Section 31 and then left because there's Section 31. So.
And then one of kind of the recurring antagonists is like his old buddy who pops up and is a pain in the ass.
That's true.
And I have a lot of fun playing him.
Yes. We're down to 5 minutes. I do want to remind everyone that we are the ones hosting the trivia tomorrow night at 8:30. And I hope that you will all come, and then we'll go to the 10 Forward party, and we'll have so much fun.
If you want to win more prizes, and if you want to win prizes through your Star Trek knowledge, the trivia panel is the
Yes.
place for it.
Just to let you know, so a lot of trivia contests happen to be like you have to raise your hand the fastest, or you have to be the loudest. I wanted us to have a trivia contest that was introvert friendly, so it's written. So everyone has the same chance. You don't have to be the fastest. You don't have to be the loudest. It's going to be written. Travis and I have an answer key up here. We're going to grade them while they, I don't know, tap dance or something. we're going to grade them. And then we have great prizes and stuff, and it's going to be super fun. So put that on your schedule tomorrow night at 8:30. Same room, I believe.
Yeah, same room.
So, yes.
Fantastic. You. Cool. The charity once more?
Yes, once more we'll talk about the charity is Cure Childhood Cancer. If you have any spare cash, change, any of those things, put it in this bucket. Make sure you make your way up here. We have our other panels. We have ribbons. We have, I think, some stickers.
Yeah,
Starship
couple
Tempest
stickers.
stickers. And then by the, over there, Juliet, if you want to do the Vanna White, there's a sign over there with some more of those black flyers. Right there. Yep. With all of our QR codes. It's got our Instagram, our Spotify, our Apple Podcasts, I think.
If you thought we were at all entertaining, please, please scan it and subscribe because it helps.
Yeah,
and maybe someday you'll.
And just really quick, our other panel. So we got the trivia tomorrow night. We're also going to be doing like a how to play Star Trek Adventures. Kind of like if you guys are interested in playing a role playing game of Star Trek, we'll kind of give you the basics of that.
Have you heard of Star Trek Adventures?
Has anybody played Star Trek Adventures
By
or any Star Trek kind of role playing game? Maybe the older generation, faster, or whatever.
Any D&D fans?
So yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, so we'll be doing kind of a get your feet wet in the new Star Trek RPG system.
And giving away books.
And giving away books that Modifius gave us.
Beautiful books for the game, starter guides and all of that stuff. So we're giving all of that away. I just like to give stuff away.
And then we're also going to be doing like a one-shot live playing in which I'm not GMing, and so I'm super excited about that. And Matt is going to GM, and I'm going to play, and for the first time, I'm going to get to screw up one of their things.
Hey, thank everybody for being participatory.
Oh, we got one more. We got one more. We have one more.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, one last thing.
My hot take is Star Trek 2009 and using time travel to totally split off from the prime timeline was the best thing JJ ever did. And Star Trek needs to do that more. We need to unburden ourselves from the prime timeline, and canon needs to go out the window.
Interesting.
Yeah, I like it.
Needs a clean reboot. I agree.
Interesting. All right, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Please listen to Starship Tempest.
Yeah, please listen to Starship
Validate us.
Validate our hard work.
Yeah, coming up for stickers, ribbons,
Stickers, ribbons,
and our panel sheet.
thingies that give you.